Welcome. Let me ask you something real quick. Are we watching sports anymore? Or are we watching chaos with a scoreboard? Because it's playoff time with a little bit of natty time. The madness is real. The WWE gives us drama every week on Raw and SmackDown, but this week we have Saturday night's main event. And the NFL championship games had moments that shook the league, some for the good, but some for the bad. And also, college football crowned a new champion. And the NBA power rankings are shifting. MVP conversations are getting louder. And the Super Bowl picture, you'll hear my thoughts on that too. But before we get comfortable, there's an elephant in the room we have to talk about. And that's the NFL officiating. Missed calls, questionable calls, calls that straight up change lives. Not just on the football field, but in the head office or on the sidelines. It can make or break someone's career based on what they do in these games. So buckle up, re-reacting, breaking it down like always, and saying the quiet parts, out loud, because this is episode 14. Welcome to Bishop's Breakdown. Welcome back. Episode 14, Bishop Breakdown. I'm your host, Bishop. So, let's talk WWE RAW. The main event for this show was Finn Balor challenging CM Punk for his World Heavyweight Championship. Then you had the interaction with AJ Styles talking to Adam Pearce about what Gunther challenged him career for their match on Royal Rumble. So if AJ Styles loses, he's gone. He's done. He's retired. And that would be 3 different potential Hall of Famers that Gunther has retired. Goldberg, John Cena, and now possibly AJ Styles. If the internet's to be believed, there's already talk that he already told WWE officials that his final time in the ring will be before WrestleMania. So, Royal Rumble seems the perfect spot for that. But I hope not. I hope he finds a way to win. But with the momentum that Gunther has and the way the higher-ups think of him, I think it's goodbye AJ Styles. And that sucks. But he's been wrestling for 30 years? 40 years, 100 years, forever. But he's finally got his time in WWE, and I'm glad he had his chance to show the world what I already knew from TNA, that he is phenomenal. No pun intended, but maybe so. And the main event, we all knew going to this match that CM Punk wasn't losing to Finn Balor, especially when Finn Balor said, let's do it straight up, no Judgment Day. And that's not gonna... he's a heel, so obviously he can't win straight up against a mega babyface in the form of the best in the world, CM Punk. So with that being said, it was a great match. Finn Balor is amazing, but we all knew that. And CM Punk, it's still good. He's not as good as 2012 CM Punk, or even, before that when he was in AEW for the short stint. Feels like he was there for a cup of coffee. But, the way things are going, I don't know when he's going to lose his title or if he's going to lose his title anytime soon before Mania. But if not, it's going to be very interesting who they set him up for. And we'll get to SmackDown later, and I'll explain why I think the number one contender on SmackDown brand should have been the number one contender on the Raw brand. It made more sense, and I felt that person should be getting the title from Punk and not Drew McIntyre. But like I said, I'll get to that later. So let's get to other matches that happened on Raw. You had the Intercontinental Women's Championship match with Maxine Dupree challenging Becky Lynch for her title. And as crazy as it seemed, Maxine lost, but not clean. and Natty attacked her, even though Natty was supposed to be her coach. I don't understand what they're doing. Like, why? I would rather Becky lose the title, give it to Maxine, and then Maxine, gets jumped by Natty in the back or something and set up that match. But I guess they're going to do a mid-card feud between the two, teacher versus student, blah, blah, blah. But that's what they want to do, and I wait and see, I guess. But to me, that's stupid. And Becky doesn't really need that title, but I guess they're saving that title for AJ Lee whenever she comes back or whenever she feels like coming back, and probably at the Rumble, but I think she's going to be in the match, the Royal Rumble match. So probably a Mania, one of the Mania event matches. AJ Lee, Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. So I guess we wait till Vegas, like they're trying to do. And speaking of Vegas, I'm thinking about doing a retrospective or a review on the Unreal Season 2. My thoughts. I've seen wrestlers come out and talk about it, like Maven. And I'll give you my thoughts, so keep posted on YouTube and TikTok, and you'll see my thoughts live and live in color. And you also had Javon Evans versus El Grande Americana that ended in a medical stoppage. Not sure if it was a legit injury or part of the storyline, but it looked wonky. And I hope, young OG is doing well and not totally screwed, because his momentum was going up into the uptick. And the time off might cool him off. And I know how WWE is. They're really like a toddler. And they got blinders on. So when they don't see it, they forget about it and don't know what to do with it once it comes back into view. So hopefully that doesn't happen to young OG. Because I love me some Javon Evans. He's young and only has, a uptick for what he has potential to be. Possibly a Intercontinental Champion, U.S. title champion in the not too near future. And who knows? That might be a main event of WrestleMania, Braun Breaker versus Javon Evans for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So keep an eye out for that. And hopefully young OG can do his thing and come back quick and, do us all a favor by entertaining us every single week on Monday Night Raw. And then you also got this feud going on with The Vision versus Adam Pearce. And this week, Braun Breaker is supposed to come back and have a face-to-face with Adam Pearce, which I think that's when he's going to definitely eat a spear or 2 or 10. Because Paul Heyman's doing Paul Heyman things and threatening Adam Pearce, and because that big 6-man tag with the Mysterios and the Vision. And it ended with, Logan Paul losing his brass knucks, and Rey Mysterio picks it up and punches Austin Theory in the face and pick up the win for his team. And Paul Heyman lost it on Adam Pearce and said, damn, we're going to miss you when you're gone as Raw GM. So I don't know where they're going with this, but hopefully they figure it out soon, because I'm getting bored already. Like, come on. Is Adam Pearce going to get in the ring and face Braun Breaker? I don't know even what type of match that could even be, because it's been super long time since Adam Pearce jumped in the ring. And Braun Breaker is amazing, and obviously he's going to win that match, because there's absolutely nothing gained if Adam Pearce beats a hot Braun Breaker. Especially after losing his title opportunity the other week on the Upside Down episode against CM Punk, clean in the middle of the ring. He doesn't need no more losses. He needs to be built back up. And hopefully, maybe, just possibly, he'll win the Royal Rumble and challenge CM Punk at Mania for the title. And maybe that's when Seth comes back and cost him. But we'll see. We'll see the direction, because the Royal Rumble's on Saturday. And I'm going to preview that as well as Raw later. And maybe I'll give you a few predictions, even though we don't know who's all in the Royal Rumble. But that's what we do. We guess. We make things up. Fantasy Book 101. So let's talk SmackDown. SmackDown was the go-home show for the Saturday night's main event. So you guessed it. We had the participants in the main event: Sami Zayn, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, and Randy Orton. Started the show, ended the show because Priest took on Trick Williams in a no contest because Sami Zayn got involved and attacked them both. And then Trick Williams seemed to be getting the upper hand, and the Viper appeared out of nowhere and just RKO'd everybody. Sammy 8-1, Trick Williams 8-1, whatever. So we'll get to the winner of that match and why I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but I don't like it. And then you got Dragunov challenging Carmelo Hayes for the Open U.S. title challenge, which was a great match because they have great chemistry together, going all the way back to NXT and fighting over the NXT championship. But The Miz decided to put his nose into Carmelo's business and help him win. And when Carmelo found out that he didn't just win by himself, that The Miz, the A-lister, decided to distract Dragunov and cause him to get pinned by Carmelo Hayes, Carmelo lost it. So that looks like the next feud again. Whatever. I like The Miz. He is really good at what he does, and that's everything. No matter what you need from this man, he will do it. And if he's not a Hall of Famer by the end of this, then we need a recount because he's The Miz, and like he says, he's awesome. Then you got new tag team champions. The MFTs defeated the Wyatt Six when, dumb babyface said, "Oh, I need to get my lantern back." I get it. It's sentimental. It means, it symbolizes Bray Wyatt. And obviously his brother, is emotional about that. Who wouldn't be? But your titles are on the line and focus. But whatever. MFT's tag team champions, whatever. They're not really doing much with this tag team championships. So put on whatever. Put it on a mop bucket and a mop head. And they whatever. Until they can redirect this tag team division, you might as well go back to undisputed championships and just have one floating between two brands. And you also got new number one contenders for the women's tag team championship in the form of the U.S. women's champion Julia and her business partner Kiana James will obviously challenge Io and Rhea for the women's tag team championship in the not too near future, and they're probably gonna lose because they love Rhea and Io and Rhea or whatever the hell they want to be called. But we got them, and Drew McIntyre said, like Asuka used to say, "You're not ready for Drew." So I love me some heel Drew. Hope he keeps the title forever. But he looks like he's just keeping it warm for, I don't know, either the person that won the Fatal 4-Way on Saturday or saving it for Roman Reigns or Cody when he's done with Jacob Fatu, or all three of them going to be in a Fatal 4-Way or Fatal 4-Way or a triple threat with at Mania. So we'll get to Saturday night's main event. How about right now? So, as I alluded earlier, Sami Zayn is your new number one contender and will face Drew McIntyre at Royal Rumble for the WWE Undisputed Championship, which is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which is, Sami's other hometown. So he wins in Montreal for the Saturday night's main event, and everyone assumes he's going to win at the Royal Rumble. I feel WWE has not done a job of making him look like a WWE champion to be. He seems like a U.S. title champion or an Intercontinental tag team, and that's not his fault because he's really good. If you want to see how good he is, check out Ring of Honor El Generico, and you'll see that he's good, really good, and he could be better than what the WWE wants him to be. Kind of a half joking, half serious, but he's just some guy, and being the underdog only lasts so long, especially if you're winning titles and being on main events. You're not an underdog if you're always on positions to be that. Like, he was with the Bloodline for a majority of their run, so I don't understand why he's still the underdog. He's not Daniel Bryan anymore. But I don't feel that he's going to beat Drew. I don't see what comes from that going forward. What are you going to do at Mania? Are you going to do a straight up rematch? Because I feel they're going to do a triple threat with Drew, Jacob, and Cody for the WWE Undisputed Championship, and that will leave Sami Zayn on the outs. I mean, to get to that point, either Jacob or Cody has to win the Royal Rumble, unless a Raw guy wins it, and one of those two or whatever wins the Elimination Chamber, and they'll get to it somehow to make it a triple threat. I mean, you got till April, but I don't see what you do with Sami Zayn if he does win in Saudi at Royal Rumble this weekend. Like, what accomplishes from that? I mean, like I said, I like Sami, but a World Heavyweight Champion like the Raw, like challenging CM Punk versus Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn beating CM Punk seems a way better event or main event for Royal Rumble than Drew versus Sami. I mean, granted, they've already built the thing that Sami can't beat Drew because he hasn't. So is he all of a sudden going to win? Possibly. But like I said, what now? What next? But if you want to be real about things, fans are fickle. I mean, look at what happened to Cody. He had the title, and they were ready to turn on him because they were, you finished your story, and now they hate the story. They want a new story. So when Sami won the U.S. title, people were seeming lukewarm to his title run. So does anyone expect differently? Especially, like I said, the way the WWE is presenting him to the audience, positioning him in the company, that he's a utility guy, but not a world title type of person. I mean, I know they tried that with Jay, and you know how that went. People love his entrance, but they kept saying that's all he is. And if Sami wins, is that all he's going to be? The underdog that finally achieved, and now moving on to somebody else? I mean, when you think of undisputed champions in the WWE, you think of Cody, you think of Roman Reigns, you think of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, The Rock. You don't think of Sami Zayn. And no offense to him, but like I said, that's what WWE has put him in the picture as. And we'll see. I mean, you only got a short few days away until the Royal Rumble, so we'll see where direction they're going to go with that. And speaking of triple threats that I predicted for the WrestleMania with Cody, Drew, and Jacob, because the match with Jacob and Cody never even started because clearly they're so mad at each other that they just couldn't wait for the bell to ring, so they just start beating the heck out of each other and through everywhere, backstage, in the crowd, everywhere. They were across the street. They were at Starbucks. They were at Tim Hortons. They were at Outback Steakhouse. They fought everywhere except within the confines of a wrestling match. And then Drew had to attack them both, powerbomb Cody through a table, and that's how the segment ended because it clearly wasn't a match. So that's why I think the triple threat is bound to happen. And sorry, Sami Zayn, you're number one contender to lose. But crazier things have happened. Maybe they'll give him the title rub and he'll lose it on SmackDown to Drew or Cody or Jacob or whatever. But maybe they'll give him that, week or less than week, 5-day title reign just to make the Saudi Arabian crowd excited, happy, throw him a bone. Show that he can beat Drew just like, he beat, so he beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, stop his reign. So it's possible. But like I said, what next? So wait and see, I guess. Like they always tell me, wait and see. So off the playoff NFL, let's start with the AFC Championship game. It was the Denver Broncos versus the New England Patriots. New England was favored to win, even though it was on the road, because the Broncos lost Bo Nix for the season after the last game that they had to basically, crawl and scrape and do all the things to win that game. But it was a sloppy game, and there was a lot of iffy calls, iffy penalties, iffy changes of initial reaction. Like, oh, that was a touchdown. No, it was actually a fumble. No, it was actually whatever. And I'm going to talk about that in the elephant in the room because the refs are, excuse my French, but pissing me off. And then, so the Patriots, Stephon Diggs, Drake May, are Super Bowl bound, and the Patriots are back in the saddle. It feels like, 10 years ago. Patriots Super Bowl. I've heard that story before. But good for Drake. Good for Mike Vrabel. And good for Stephon Diggs. Because the Bills said the reason why they couldn't go to the next level is because Stephon Diggs wasn't that good. Well, newsflash, he's in the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen and the Bills are coachless and sitting at home watching Super Bowl just like me. Then you got the NFC Championship game. You had the Seahawks taking on, Matt Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams, and this game was way better than the AFC Championship game. It was back and forth. At first, I thought, when the Seahawks scored, it was 10-0 or 10-3, that they were going to run away with it and blow out Matt Stafford and the Rams. But Matt Stafford and Puka and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams, Blake Corum said, that's not going to happen, and we're going to scrape and claw and make this a game that the Seahawks going to have to do the extra mile to win this game. And that's what they did. JSN, you had Sam Darnold with a chip on his shoulder because they said that he's a choke artist, but choke on D's nuts because he showed them. Now he's Super Bowl bound. JSN Super Bowl bound. Probably the best wide receiver in all of football. You had Kenneth Walker II from this one school called MSU Spartan, and he did his thing too, and the Seahawks looks dangerous. So the rematch of all rematches, the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl in February. Sign me up, can't wait. This game is going to be awesome. Awesome. And I think the Seahawks are awesome. And I like me some Drake May. And Stephon Diggs, and I'll get to my predictions later, but imagine the Patriots winning and what idiotic TikTok Cardi B is going to do again. I mean, she had one cussing out a 4-year-old, so what's next? So, ironically, I would love to see that, but I'll get to my predictions in a little while. But before I move on to other things, one more thing about the AFC Championship game. The Broncos went for it on fourth down early in the second quarter, and they end up losing by, you guessed it, 3 points. So he should have kicked the field goal, took the points, because the game got gross. Snow, limited visibility. You take the points in that position. Keep the pressure on the opponents to make plays and score more points, especially if you would have tied it up. I mean, this is your ticket to the greatest game of the year, to become champion at the Super Bowl. Sean Payton takes the points it's the playoffs. Like, Sean Payton, you take the points. You win or you go home. And that mentality in these spots is what makes or break a career. I mean, don't be shocked if the Broncos decide to move on from Sean Payton, because they were that close away from making a Super Bowl without their starting quarterback. So that game was all about inches, and they decided to go for it. And if they would have took the points and kept the same pressure on the opponents, on the Patriots, this might be a different Super Bowl. It might be Broncos versus Seahawks. But they decided to try to get a touchdown because they felt they needed to score touchdowns. And the way the game ended up, with the snowy field and the lack of a passing game later in the game, and they should have just kicked the field goal, took the points. So just remember, sometimes it's good to take the points and move on and play defense and try to get the ball back, and maybe then you'll score your touchdowns. But when you have a possibility to have any points in a playoff game, an AFC championship game, you take those points. You don't leave anything on the field, because now everyone's question today is, what if? And that's not how you want any press conference to go. No what ifs. It wants to be, well, you did everything you could and the better man won. But what ifs, it just tears up any organization. And one more nugget of information. Sam Darnold is the first quarterback from the super stacked 2018 draft to reach the Super Bowl. And you might ask, who was in that draft that make it so stacked? I'll give you 3 names. You got Baker Mayfield, no Super Bowl appearance. Lamar Jackson, MVPs, no Super Bowl. And another MVP, Josh Allen. Hasn't made the Super Bowl either. Sam Darnold made it before all 3 of those. If you would have told me this 2019, 2020, that Sam Darnold would make a Super Bowl before Lamar or Josh Allen, I would think that you were on drugs and you need to be drug tested or go to rehab or something. So, like I said, this is a crazy year, and just sometimes you just have to be in a better position to win. And clearly, Lamar didn't have that this year. And Josh Allen and the Bills flubbed the bed and lost and they're not in the Super Bowl either. But congratulations, Sam Darnold. You deserve it. And like I said, predictions later. But we got another congratulations. Congratulations to Indiana Hoosiers to have a great year, undefeated. It's all been happened one at a time for a team to go 16-0. I mean, also congratulations to Fernando Mendoza. Not only did he win a Heisman Trophy, but he took a team that no one gave a shot in all heck to win the national championship, let alone go undefeated in said run and going 16-0. But if you really want to see what heart looks like, look up Fernando Mendoza's touchdown run in the national championship game, where he put everything on the line to make that touchdown happen. And that's what I'm talking about, as in heart. And Mendoza has all the heart, so I know he's going to make a good NFL quarterback, or hopefully, like a Sam Darnold or a Baker Mayfield. But yeah, he put it all on the line, and that's why the Indiana Hoosiers are your new national champion. And before we get to Elephant in the Room segment, let's take a moment of silence, because 6 years ago, Kobe Bean Bryant and his daughter Gigi passed away after a helicopter crash. It took both of them and a group of people, as well as the pilot, to R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Gigi, Black Mama forever. So, elephant in room time. Refs, do better. So last night's or yesterday's game with the Broncos and Patriots. So Stidham went back for a pass, felt the pressure, threw the ball. It got tipped or whatever, and they called it, a fumble. The Patriots picked it up, ran for a touchdown. The refs, from the view from the camera, from TV, it seemed like a fumble, but they said it was a backwards pass, so it's incomplete or something. But it was in front of them, so the refs made the call and just flubbed the bed. And the refs, with this gambling scandals going on left and right in college and pros and all these things, they want to, make or break a game. That could make or break a career, let alone a season. And the NFL need to figure out what needs to happen, because these calls happen every single week, and it doesn't help the game. It makes the game seem rigged. Just like I seen a picture that they posted in September with players lined up, front to back, going all the way to looking up at the Super Bowl logo. And lo and behold, guess who are two players that are in the front of the line? You got Drake May and Sam Darnold, which happens to be in the Super Bowl in February. Like, it could be coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences when gambling and the riggedness of the NFL seems front and center every single week, with all these allegations of players, being threatened or in a position where they throw games or do their unders or make sure the bettors are winning, that are influencing these players with payouts and whatever. So the NFL needs to be very careful about this, because this will hurt the game. You think the steroid era was terrible for baseball? This gambling scandals will be detrimental to the NFL, because if I want to watch something that's predetermined, that's why I tune in to WWE RAW and SmackDown every week, and not my NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, boxing, UFC. Those are sports that have integrity of two teams or two players or two competitors going at it and putting it on the line and determining with their athleticism and their wills to win, and not because there's a bet to say otherwise. Because in the long run, nobody wants to watch that. Nobody wants to be able to deal with that for any stretch of time, because then why even watch it? Why am I covering this? Why am I even talking about this? Why am I putting this in my life, sports, if it's going to be predetermined from Vegas or mobsters or whoever has the most money? Because that's not what I signed up for. And that's what any of the fans want to see when they tune in Sundays or Mondays or whenever their teams or their favorite sports is on TV. And that grinds my gears, because I love sports. I love the NFL. I love basketball, as you can see. So, NFL, do better. Figure it out on all season, because this is not going to be a good look going forward. And when people see these things, they're going to stop trusting the integrity on the field and just assume that everybody's cheating, everybody's rigged, and basically screw you, NFL, and your ratings are going to affect this because people are not going to stand for this much longer. So let's talk about my Super Bowl predictions. The Super Bowl matchup is the New England Patriots, led by Drake May, versus the Seattle Seahawks, led by Sam Darnold. So my predictions for this game is a close game from start to finish, and the Seattle Seahawks will be your Super Bowl champions. Mark my words. Bookmark this at me, because the Seahawks will avenge their loss many years ago against the Patriots when they decided on fourth down to not pass or not run the ball with Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, the beast, but pass it. Russ Wilson passed and threw a pick that sealed the game and started the dynasty that we know as the New England Patriots. NBA power ranking right now. You got the number one team in the league, the OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder, with 37-10 record. Granted, they have lost 2 straight, but I'm sure they're going to find their mojo again and keep winning and keep on the winning ways. Then you got number 2, which is also the number 1 team in the East, Detroit Pistons, at 33-11. And a special shout out and congratulations to Bickerstaff on being named the East Conference All-Star head coach. Yes, brother, you deserve this. And I hope for nothing but the best. And I hope this winning ways will keep going well into the playoffs and make a title run for this team, because they are playing really, really well. And then you got a tie for third with the same record of 31-15. You got the Denver Nuggets without Nikola Jokic. Hopefully he'll be back soon, because a few days ago, about 12 days ago, he's back to practicing. So hopefully big fellow will come back and dominate like he's been doing. And another big man and the unicorn and Victor for the San Antonio Spurs. And number 4, you got the Houston Rockets, 27-16, led by Kevin Durant and Sagoon. That team just keeps winning. They finding ways to win, and they're creeping up, trying to make a statement for this young team led by a bona fide all-star and a bona fide Hall of Famer when his career is said and done. And the 2 MVP watch list candidates are Luka Doncic of the Los Angeles Lakers, 33 and 4 points per game and 8.7 dimes. And then you got the reigning, defending MVP of the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with 32.1 points per game. So before I wrap up, if you're tired of the same excuses, the same bad calls, and the same conversation every single January, you're not alone. Because accountability shouldn't be optional. Not for players, not for coaches, and absolutely not for the people in the zebra outfit with the whistles. So that's episode 14 of Bishop's Breakdown. And trust me, this conversation is far from over. So remember, Deuces, Uces.